Cathie Wood appeared on CNBC earlier this year in April 2025 when she reaffirmed ARK Invest's price target for Tesla stock to be $2,600 by 2030. She said her confidence was high despite at the time Tesla releasing poor Q1 deliveries. She highlighted Tesla as the biggest AI play in the market, bar none. This week, Elon Musk said it should be no surprise he's turning Tesla into an AI powerhouse in robotics, autonomy, and real-world data that no one else has, given that he keeps posting on X about this over and over. Is Cathie's forecast $2,600 by 2030 still on track? How should Tesla investors value the company and decide what is the fair present value of the stock today? And how does this differ from how most institutional analysts do their valuation exercises? Help us do that is Larry Goldberg. Welcome, Larry.
Great to be here, Herbert.
So one of our favorite investors that you and I both follow, you specifically know Cathie Wood and ARK Invest. We're big fans of them. And she been stuck her neck out, and they did a bunch of research, and they've been saying that they think Tesla will get to $2,600 per share by 2030. And everybody laughed at them. Today, I don't know. I mean, it's still a big jump. We're talking 5x from where we're at now, but it's sounding like she's headed in that, people are not laughing as much because robotaxi is real. This is what she said in April of this year. Let's listen in to what she said.
In 5 years, so 2030 again, is $2,600. And our confidence in that number has gone up now that Tesla is commercializing robotaxis in August, in June.
Yeah. So that was just a short clip of her saying that. Do you think that $2,600 price target is still on track?
So, yes, I do. I think that it's very much on track. I do want to, though, clarify what her price target represents. Mm-hmm. Her price target represents kind of the midpoint of a set of probabilities. There's a probability curve. The 2600 is kind of at the midpoint, and then there's an extreme overperformance and an extreme underperformance and everything in between. But the highest level of probability is at that 2600 point. But it could go to over 8,000 at the high point, and it can drop as low as, I think, in the hundreds.
Oh my God! Okay, well, then that's everything.
At the low point. So
okay.
So you have to understand how ARK works. So they look at every factor that impacts that final earnings, and each factor they assign a set of probabilities, and then they accumulate those together and then assign, this overall probability rating to the overall result. So I'm absolutely aligned with her on that level of probability. I mean, I've been through this, their valuation line item by line item, or at least to the extent that they allow us insight. And there's very little in it I disagree with, except one thing. They haven't really evaluated fully the robot. Mm-hmm. So that 2600 could well be, double if they added Optimus in full, if they fully added Optimus. So it's early stages. And, when Cathie was up in 2018, 2019, in that same program, and talked about Tesla getting to 1,000, and this was, before the, this is with the split. Everybody said that before the split, everybody said she was crazy. Well, it's way over that number now, way over. I think it's like double that number now. So, because it's split like 5 times. They have a proven track record in their Tesla forecasts. I have every reason to trust that forecast, and both from the point of view of the analysis I've done of what they've done and in terms of the track record. So, yeah, I think she's on. She's right on track.
Yeah, that's a great explanation of how that works. It's interesting that I think they're the only ones I know that does this, right? The probability analysis. Other institutional
somebody else who does that.
Who's that?
I do.
You? Okay.
I was doing a Monte Carlo
Monte
analysis
Carlo.
of my own company.
Yeah.
I'm going back to 1976, 77. I had an HP80 calculator, and I would sit there and go line item by line item, running Monte Carlo on each of those line items.
Yeah.
So, I was very familiar with what they were doing. Now, and it's interesting that I was using a modified Monte Carlo where each line item I would assign some weight to that line item. They don't do that. And maybe that's a purer form of analysis. Maybe the analysis I was doing was putting too much, finger on the scale. But nonetheless, I mean, I've been doing Monte Carlo for years and years and years.
So I know it's early days, right? But the probabilities of this hitting 2,600 by 2030, you said it's like right in the middle. But in terms of, it was really mostly based on robotaxi. And where we are today, 2025, it's like you got to admit that a lot of these probabilities have actually landed on the positive, right? Because robotaxi's launched. Now, maybe the timing is still off, and that's what I'm trying to understand. If her timing was by 2025,
Yeah,
right on
timing
track?
is right on track. Right on track. As I recall it, we may even be a little bit ahead. If in fact Elon is correct, let's assume he's 6 months out. I think we're on track. So if his timing comes to fruition, where we're actually at 50, we're in cities that represent 50% of the population by the end of the year. I just don't see that that's possible. But
No. Yeah.
yeah, but nonetheless, even if you allow for Elon time, I think we're right on track.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking 2030 here. So that's 5 years. It doesn't have to go on a straight line or anything like that. So I was getting back to like, okay, so you and Cathie, you guys do this Monte Carlo probability analysis, which is, I think, from the face value of it, it sounds like a smart way to do it. Others don't do that. Like there's others like Dan Ives, he does what we call the sum of the parts analysis, where he at least will look at all the businesses.
Well,
And
Monte Carlo analysis is a sum of the parts.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
just
don't know if
that
he does the probabilities,
Dan
but
doesn't assign probabilities. He assigns possibilities,
yes,
and within that possibility, he gives it a certain weight. So he's not doing it in statistical methods, and not at the granularity
yeah.
that Cathie does it, but he does it at for each business. So that's some of the parts that he does. Yeah.
No, thank you for explaining that. I mean, exactly, that was the point I was trying to get to. But at least he does this where he goes, okay, in the future, I think that Tesla says they're going to be in these businesses. Then you can say, I don't think they're going to get to robots. You could put a 0% if you want, but at least you should consider that. Or you could say, yeah, they will, but there'll be many competitors. I'll give it 2% or 5%. That's fine. But if you do that for each businesses and you go figure out what is the actual potential TAM, actual potential market share for this particular company, Tesla, you bring it back to Tesla present value, you come up with a higher number than what we are today, typically. Yeah. So CERN does that. He will give you all these different variations of what it could be, and you can choose. But why do so many, other than these guys, almost everyone else don't do it this way? They just...
Well, you have to look at Gary Black, for example. I'll give him as an example because he is more transparent in what he does. He will not look at the robotics or the robot or the robotaxi business because he's got nothing to go. He's got no parameters to go on. He says, he can't figure on price or quantity without something more material and evidence that they're going to be in that business and they're going to be in that business soon. I think he's now begun to assign small quantity of robotaxis on a limited basis. I haven't followed him for some time because he blocked me. Once I stopped paying him his subscription, he blocked me. So I haven't followed him that closely. And I stopped paying subscription for only one reason. he stopped. He was no longer analyzing that which was of interest to me. While he was analyzing the auto business, and he did a really good job of analyzing the auto business, I took his analysis and looked at it quite carefully, and it modified my views. But he stopped analyzing. He won't analyze the robot. He won't analyze the robotaxi. He looks at Tesla as the sum of energy and autos.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he's now begun, I don't know this, but I believe he started to look at robotaxi, but he looks at it as if it's an Uber-type business, and he calculates it at Uber-type margins. So
Right.
I don't know if it's of any value. I don't know if it's of any help. I do know that when he started looking at the robot, the humanoid robot, he said, well, currently there's a market for 500,000 units a year in robots.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's possible that can expand to 1 million. And even if Tesla gets 50% of the market, that's only 500,000 robots.
Yes.
And I pointed out to him, he's comparing apples with oranges. An industrial robot costs, something up to $500,000 and is a very specific product for a very specific job. And a humanoid robot is not. It uses the same name or label for a name, but it's not the same product at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to cost dramatically less, and it's going to do huge volumes. And I point to 5 experts, real experts in the field, who summarize the kind of volumes that it's going to get to. But he's not interested because. Anyway, so it's very difficult when you look at these analysts on Wall Street to understand how they cannot provide some value for innovative companies who are creating products that do not yet exist. Now, Morgan Stanley have really turned the corner on that in a big way. In fact, their analyst who was following cars, Tesla, has now been assigned the job of all of these new innovations and focus just on that. So that gives you a sense of a huge change in some of the analysts, and so we're going to see that change occur because the world is really going to depend upon these cutting edge innovations to lead our economy. And that gets me back to Cathie. That's her thesis, that the new economy is going to be entirely dependent upon these innovations on products that just did not exist historically. And so we have to make these assumptions and do the analysis, do the hard work of trying to understand what these businesses are going to do in terms of the economy and therefore the companies that support them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Cathie is very comfortable in innovation. But what she'll do is she'll put the hard work on figuring out probability. So she's not saying, oh, this is guaranteed, it's going to work, future's going to be bright, we're all going to make a lot of money. She's saying, okay, well, what's the likelihood this? She does that work. Others will just turn a blind eye and says it doesn't exist until it exists.
Yeah, that's right.
Once it exists, it's still this bit, I'll calculate it at that bit until, I'm not going to say, oh, one day it's going to take over. Both, yeah.
Look, it's a very difficult world. I owned NVIDIA for years and years and years, and I sold it in 2022.
Yeah.
Along with quite a lot of other stocks that have done very well since, nothing like NVIDIA.
Yeah.
But so it's a very, very difficult world, innovation, because stuff comes out of left field that you have no clue of, stuff that you really thought was going to do great, ends up being the also-ran.
Right.
It's a very difficult world.
Yeah, to call the winner. So this week, Larry, we had Baird raising the price target to 535 or something. This is the highest in Wall Street. You've got Wedbush, of course, Dan Ives, always at 500. He's already been ahead. Then you had Piper Sandler come out, called Tesla a physical AI company. Very long note explaining why they are now bullish on Tesla, but also they even had a whole section on how they defended against bears, of the bears positions. Then you had, of course, Morgan Stanley. I'm missing one more. But, these guys have turned and started to be very positive.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Does it matter that these guys say this? And
It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It hasn't. This is. I'll tell you what matters. What matters is ARC's analysis. What matters is, Morgan Stanley's analysis, not the number they put on the future stock, but what we can learn from what they've gleaned, what they've learned. And what really matters is the retail investors in Tesla, their analysis, because they drill really, really, really deep. And we get warning signs and we get opportunity signs from that analysis. That matters to me.
yeah, that makes sense. I was going to ask you that. What should a retail investor focus on to see how they can track Tesla as an investment?
Read the analysis. Read the analysis. Join the chat groups that do the analysis. Contact by direct message the folks that do the analysis, the CERN bashers, the Dan Ives. I mean, Dan is open as you could be. Speak to the people that really understand the stuff, and follow Tesla Q. Tesla Q are terrible in terms of their invective and so on and so forth. But there are some guys there that do raise the red flags and do talk about, the risks, and because the risks are there. No company is immune to these kind of, random risks. So, yeah, I think read, and qualify for yourself.
I think we don't have to revisit this because we did a whole show on it a couple of weeks ago, right? Where you were saying that 2026 could be a big year. Yeah. Things are coming together, 27. And so has anything changed in the last 6 months? Because so much has changed in terms of your...
I said a year ago on this program, 2025 was going to be a very big year of change.
Yeah.
And the change has been incredible. If you put yourself back in November of last year and you think about where we were and you think about where we'll be in November of this year, it's that you cannot compare where we were. You cannot compare what has happened. And Elon told us it was going to happen.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, what did he say?
I mean, if you weren't listening and if you weren't paying attention, it's yourself to blame. The stock's gone from 140, 130 to 200 and 400. And so you have only yourself to blame. Now, will it go back down to 300? Can it go back down to 200? Sure. Undoubtedly. Yeah. There's all kinds of news and stuff that can happen. But will it be at 1,000 by the end of next year? Quite possibly. Quite possibly.
It's all lined up, right? I think Elon said last year, he said something like it's going to hit them like a tsunami by the end of next year, which is now, that things are happening. And he's called it right so far.
I agree.
He actually just made a post today. He said something like, making fun of the stock. Omar was going, the stock has jumped. And then he said something like, and everybody thought that it was going to fall because of the expiring $7,500 credit. Guess not. The stock jumped. So he's focused on the stock too. So I had this debate with Brian Wang yesterday. He said that the $1 billion investment by Elon is just the beginning. He thinks Elon could and probably will invest more over the next 2 years.
I think he should invest it in Apple.
Yeah, okay, you're gonna be racking that. If he does invest in Apple, is that going to help Tesla, or that's really more of an XCI thing?
Oh no, it's a great Tesla move. I mean, a
Explain that.
fantastic Tesla move.
Explain that. Yeah.
Because the car and the phone become the same product. Because the
Mm-hmm.
car and the phone become, one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your whole life is on that phone, and your whole life will be in the car with you.
Mm-hmm.
And Grok will be on the phone, and Grok will be in the car with you, and Grok will have the same context in both environments.
Mm.
And it'll have access to your entire history of emails, your entire history of everything you've ever written, said, or done.
Mm-hmm.
And it will have access to it all the time. And that will be its context in the world. So, I mean, the value of Apple is the incredible privacy that they have imposed upon your private life.
Mm-hmm.
But the value of Apple is not that it's created this privacy, it's that it's got this unique amount of data. And that data will move with you in the world, whether you're in the car or on the phone. And on the car, it's of as great a value as it is on the phone. So Grok and the Apple private data together it's an unbeatable. Now, Grok will also have all your tweets, which is very powerful and is very useful. And so now you've got the power of everything you've ever put into your phone, plus everything you've ever put into your posts, combined in a single instrument, which is neither your car nor the phone, but some evolution of them both. I mean, come on. It may.
It's sounding big. So it's not about the users, not like, because if somebody will go, yeah, he can create an app and 200 million, everybody, a billion will buy it. But it's not about that.
Everybody posts back to me, yeah, he can build a phone. Of course he can build a frigging phone. I mean, it's nothing to...
Yeah.
It's not the phone. It's not the pad. It's not the operating system. It's not the Mac. It's not anything like that. It's the data. Yeah. And it's the combination of the data, Grok, the car, the phone, the bot. Yeah. I mean, you'll have a bot that's your digital twin. It knows everything you know. Everything. And
in order to do that, it needs to have my history, which is Apple has. Can you explain? You've been saying this, which is great. How does Elon or Tesla or somehow Elon? How does he get control of Apple? How much money would he need to invest? 200 million,
about
I think I heard you say.
Billion. Somewhere
400
between,
billion. Right.
Somewhere between 200 and 400 billion.
Billion. Where is he going to get that?
Elon just has to say, I want to get control of Apple, and he'll have a line out of the door of the biggest money in the country. A line out of the door.
Yeah.
Of the billionaires, the giant Blackstones, every private equity company in the country, every bank in the country, every investor in the country will be lined up outside his door. Please take my money.
Yeah.
Okay. I may be exaggerating a touch.
I don't think so, because he was able to get the 44 billion at desperate times with a failing Twitter that everybody thought
for a piece of
that was dead.
Yeah,
that was about to die.
A company that was dead.
Yeah, it was dead, and it was like on the way down.
You tell me you can't get $400 billion tomorrow? I mean, come on.
Very interesting. So you think 200 to 400 billion, and it's like a hostile takeover, enough shares to then take control of roads?
I don't know how hostile it'll be. I don't know how hostile it'll be. Listen, I use the phrase, no country for old men. This business, this environment, this enterprise, the enterprise we're in now is no country for old men. And everybody at Apple is just a bunch of old men.
Okay.
I think they would be grateful to say, sayonara, I'm done. I'm taking my billions and I'm going to retire. I mean, I may be exaggerating a tad in all of this, but in my scenario, it would be a friendly, hostile takeover. It would be like, you'll get a pat on the head and you'll get a special jacket and you'll get a little star and how many billion you walk away with. But I mean, that company is ready for a makeover. And I'll tell you this, that company is directly and individually and solely responsible for China becoming the gigantic electronics manufacturer it is today.
Right. Yeah.
And they have a
Yeah.
duty to solve that problem.
Yes.
And there's only one guy who could really do it, in my judgment. I may be wrong.
Yeah. Bring manufacturing back to the U.S. or something like that. And wow. Okay.
And the other thing is, look, the product sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody loves Apple. Everybody loves to say they love Apple, but internally, everybody knows that Apple is dead. That product hasn't improved in like 20 years. I'm exaggerating.
No, you're not.
10
I mean,
years.
For the very first time in my life, and people know me, I've been an Apple advocate for decades. I've been a fan of Steve Jobs and Apple for whatever. And then I've dumped all my Apple shares, which was a big what? Because I was so into it. And then into Tesla. Now it's like the very first time, just a couple of weeks ago, when Google showed their new phone and showed the features that you can get with AI, like truly using proper AI in the phone, I actually asked myself, is it time?
Do you know how many times I've heard that story in the last couple of weeks?
Same thing. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Like what AI could do for you when it's used properly in a phone and that technology is unbelievable. And Apple has not moved on it yet. I turned off Apple Intelligence. It's so bad. I turned it off.
Can you imagine Apple with Elon Musk as the chief product manager?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
my God, that is such a marvelous company. You know, if you look at what Steve Jobs created,
Yeah.
you know,
Steve
the
deserves
zeitgeist,
Elon to take it over. Yeah. he does.
that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
But you didn't even read my white paper. I mean,
I did not. I did not, because I was like, I discounted this, but you're serious about it
it's
now.
I'm deadly serious. I'm deadly serious.
Wow, you've turned me just now. I will read this, and you've done a show on it once. This is like you've mentioned a few times here, but you have explained a little bit better today. So it's good. Okay.
Well, I've explained it with a little bit of hyperbole.
Sure.
You know, I do overstate things a little bit.
It seems impossible that Elon would do this, but I can understand what you're thinking there. So
I don't think it's impossible. I think it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. As unlikely as it is, I think that, if he really gave it serious thought, I think he would definitely see the opportunity of it all. And, the timing may be perfect. I know that he's got a few things on his hand. He's got a couple of things that he's busy.
If you want XAI to succeed, what better move than do this?
Exactly.
And
it's not
because they make cash, right? Apple just creates cash like no other.
Yeah, I mean,
and you can use
right
that cash.
Right now, can you imagine? They're schlepping money back to the shareholders. While Elon is trying to find money everywhere he can. XAI is OpenAI is trying to find money everywhere they can. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolute lunacy. They need to get together. Elon and Apple need to get together. And, the friendlier they can do it, the more productive it'll be, the more creative it'll be.
Wow.
I mean, guys, come on, it's time.
I'll end with fate loves irony, especially for Elon. And so what irony this would be when Tim Cook didn't want to even accept Elon's call when he was struggling in 2018, whatever. And he thought, Elon called up Tim Cook, says, can you save us? Can you partner with us? Can you buy us? He wouldn't even take his phone call. Now Elon makes the phone call, says, I'm buying you. I'll save you. It's like the Apple Microsoft thing that happened. Oh, that is fun. I think we need to do a full show on this one day.
One day.
This is fun. I should have remembered, but this is a good one. Thank you so much. Larry, you are always so far ahead of all of us. You really are. I love you. I love the way you think. Thank you. Follow Larry on his X account at Tesla Larry. You gotta. Thanks, everybody. Bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.